I started this podcast. It's called English Learning for Curious Minds. Um, really to scratch my own itch, really to try to solve a problem that I had as a language learner, which is that once you get to a particular level, I think there's a lack of interesting and authentic materials, um, especially in an audio format. So I always like listening to podcasts and kind of audio based learning. I always found that helpful to me. And I didn't see, I never found that in French or Italian. And I looked for similar kinds of things in English because I thought these things must exist. But I couldn't see anything that I thought was exactly the kind of thing that I would like. So I thought I will just make it and see if anyone listens. And if nobody listens, no one decides to kind of pay for the premium version, which I had, then after 3 months, I will say, right, that was fun, and that's a good experiment, and now I can tick that off my list. But it hasn't worked as I expected. And sure enough, people started to listen. People started to pay for it, and the kind of, I guess there are various different reasons for people to listen. There are those people who are listening for more professional reasons. So people who are wanting to improve their English primarily for, better job prospects, whether that's kind of switching careers or getting promotions or just generally feeling more confident at work, and not necessarily talking about, business English in the classic sense, but rather feeling the confidence to engage in small talk with colleagues about stuff that's slightly deeper than, how was your weekend? Do you want to go for coffee? That kind of thing. So that is quite a large part of the people I see listening and the people I help. Another really interesting sort of category, I guess you'd call it, of people who get value from listening to the podcast are people who are, what I say, returning to English, perhaps in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. We even have 80s and people in their 90s. And often there is some kind of life event that has meant that someone has thought, actually, yeah, English would be quite a useful thing to feel like I'm more comfortable in. And they are typically not particularly satisfied with the English education that they got at school. And, think back to their days in an English classroom and think, God, firstly, my teacher wasn't particularly good. Secondly, I didn't really pay much attention. And as a result, my English is not at a level that I'm happy with. And then they have often had, a child who has got married to someone who doesn't speak their language, and suddenly they are forced to, speak to them in what would otherwise be, I don't want to say broken English, but English that they feel unhappy with. Sometimes it's people who've retired and they want to do more traveling, and they've realized that they want to, that they want to go to places where their language isn't spoken, and not being able to speak decent English is making their life hard. So that is a really interesting sort of, I think, category of people, because often people like that don't necessarily want to go to a traditional English school. They don't want to be sort of treated, treated not like necessarily like children, but kind of to go through that traditional system again. And they have that intrinsic motivation to study. So they'll sit down and they'll listen to the podcast, they'll take notes, they'll follow the transcript, they'll go through all the vocabulary, and so on.